But we're still not starting for another minute.
Are we waiting for Deb, or is she not?
She said she's rearranged her schedule, so she says she's coming. Okay, so we're gonna wait a few minutes before we start.
Where's the rest of your crew, Anita?
Linda's not gonna be here. She
All right, we're canceling the meeting.
definitely-
Oh, no.
Oh,
So I'm here.
Wait a
That's
second,
all we
I
need.
can't find my record thing.
Thanks, Andy.
I won't go till everyone's ready.
What's the matter?
It's one of those days when I'm just running.
Oh,
I'll be,
every day is like that for me. It's crazy.
well, we'll be back here at 1 o'clock. 'Cause we've got a society board meeting.
Oh, okay.
No, that's next week. The
I thought it was,
21st.
I thought it was today.
No, it's the
Next week
21st.
isn't the 21st either.
No, it's 2 weeks from now, it's the 21st.
You mean I'm
Free
free?
for the rest of the day.
Yes.
I gotta look over your shoulder so I can
Oh.
just see that. No,
I'm
you're
leaving
fine.
for Arlington Cemetery next week.
Oh, my.
Virginia. Yeah,
Very
my uncle
nice.
passed away, and he was
Oh,
probably
dear.
one of the last of the Air Force pilots that flew over. He was a lieutenant colonel. Air Force pilots that flew over Vietnam.
Oh, wow.
He got buried in Arlington Cemetery, so we can be buried.
Well, that should be,
It's gonna be fascinating.
100%. Wow, yeah.
John and I and my sister were driving down, and then, you know, so it'd be nice.
Yeah.
Be nice.
At least they've got part of the form off. I drove by it today. Looks good.
They went back and forth as to whether they were gonna leave an opening in the concrete to fill in later. Here's Deb. And I thought that they weren't, but if you drive by this morning, they did. So, anyway, I can't explain everything going on over there. We're gonna call the meeting of BAMC to order. And, is there any public comment? Okay, let's go to the minutes of March 22nd.
Motion to approve?
Second,
And can I ask if we can include that attachment that I suggested as well?
Yes.
With the attachments David suggested as well.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, it's passed unanimously. And just to make clear, the motion referred to items 1, 2, and 3 of year 2025. And if you just read the motion, you wouldn't know what Sandy was talking about. So we added an attachment to make it clear.
Sandy doesn't know what Sandy's talking about.
The attachment was the memo I'd sent out prior to the meeting. I'm saying that for our public. Okay, moving right along. Status of construction project. We're in okay shape now. We've had a bumpy time period. They finally poured the concrete walls. There remains the issue that we've got a solution, well, we've got something we're planning to do for, hopefully it's a solution, for the concrete block wall that our structural engineer determined was not on footings. So at first he suggested to take down that entire section of wall and replace it with poured concrete, which the price came in at $200,000. And after we screamed, the structural engineer considered several alternatives. I think I reported on a different one last meeting, but he's going with helical piers, which are these arch supports you put on both sides, and somehow it transfers the load bearing from the wall to the supports. So we finally arranged for the contractor and the special helical guy to get together. They've done so. They gave us a price of approximately $61,000.
okay.
That's what we're going forward on.
So these are kind of like flying buttresses that you would see on the old cathedrals.
Yeah.
Okay.
And of course, if you want to make a $61,000 cost look good, you tell the town it's going to cost $200,000, and then you back up to $61,000. So that's been our our strategy all along, right? In any case, I had been trying for months, because when we accepted this bid, and I'm going through history for many of you, I knew we had left almost no contingency. But my recommendation was, in these post-COVID times when it's impossible to get good bids, we got one that was right at the ceiling of our budget. It didn't leave any room for contingencies, and we ended up with contingencies. We ended up with a total that's probably going to be in the range of $150,000. And in addition to that, there's other things that are needed in that building in the short term to get it reopened. So, much to their credit, the town administrator and board of selectmen came up with a funding source. It's article, whichever I forget, it's in Article 47, supplemental funding for Brooks Academy renovations in the amount of $475,000. The source is a sinking fund from the sale of town land, and it is being devoted for use at Brooks Academy. It doesn't mean that we're going to end up using $475,000 from that article. It just means if things go bad enough, that money is available. So I met with Sean Libby to go over what could be included in that, and there's a bunch of things such as, Anita, you were part of the walkthrough where there's a lot of wall damage, and Lynn, of course, you were too. So nobody's done an estimate as to how much it's going to cost to repair that. Some of that work, I won't say a lot, some of that work will need to be done before the museum is opened again.
Yeah.
It makes sense to me that that cost come out of the supplemental funding article. Did we hit the right button?
Yeah, you're good. Just keep going.
So the way that article is going to be administered is Sean Libby is responsible for compiling a list of costs that need to be done as part of that article and give that to the town administrator and the board of selectmen. We should try to be aware as to what they're planning to include. Because the only other funding we have at the moment in time that's being approved at town meeting is our two CPC articles for windows and exterior preservation, exterior preservation. So it's going to be important for this committee to at least be aware of what gets funded over the next year from that supplemental funding article. So the funding source is there. It has been recommended for approval by both the Board of Selectmen, which I expected, and by FinCom, which I appreciate. Not even privy to their discussion. I'm sure they had an open meeting, but I didn't see it. So we're in good shape. We have two. Let's see, what are we on? Let's finish on status construction project. So the concrete walls have been poured. The new steel, as I understand it, the steel that's in there is temporary. They're going to be coming in with permanent steel to go in. So there's still work to be done. I estimate we're about 70% done. We're not going to be done by mid-April, obviously. The museum is not going to be open this summer, but I believe they've gotten by all of the hard stuff. And I've been wrong on this statement throughout. I don't believe there should be any other significant extras over and above what's already happened. So there's still a big hole in the ground, but other than that, the project, I believe, is in good shape. So what else does anyone want to know about it?
That's all we need to know.
Anita, you feel free to ask any questions as well.
Okay, trust me.
We do.
Where are we on the furnace?
That's what I was thinking about. That was
That's been again in Sean Libby's. The status of that is that they're going to be replacing. I mean, I guess that one basically died. So they're doing work on. They're getting prices for several of the mechanicals. I can't give you any details as to exactly what's being included and when. I just know that the town facilities manager is actively looking into it, and that cost should be borne from the supplemental funding article. I believe that one is specifically referenced in the description of that article.
But meantime, we still have to have a concern about the safety of the artifacts in that building.
Mhm.
Well, when we did a walkthrough, where the artifacts are, those, those rooms seem to be in the best shape. Yeah, very few new cracks, forms of damage. Am I right? It's where they've taken the foundation out. That's where the majority of the damage is, and in some places it's pretty extensive.
Kind of expected that.
This is under the oldest part.
But we still don't have anything in the way of fire suppression in there or,
That's correct.
okay.
Keep your fingers crossed.
Okay.
5-year capital plan. I've reported before the $600,000 was taken out of the first year. I think there was concern of going to the voters with a cost overrun plus a $600,000 item plus $690,000, I think it is, in CPC funding. So the town administrator and board of selectmen decided to take out the $600,000, which was mostly to be used for repairing walls. And hopefully that's now going to be replaced by the supplemental funding article. I had hoped that we would have had equivalent amount added to the end of the capital plan. That was not done, but it's not something that the town warrant was put together very late. There wasn't any time to have a further discussion on that. You know, we won a big item by having the supplemental funding article put in. We lost by having some of our money in the 5-year capital plan taken out. And the net, we're in pretty good shape for getting projects done over the next few years, depending on exactly what the supplemental funding article is used for. If that's used to meet a lot of our needs, we're in good shape. If not, we're probably going to have to go back to the capital plan for more before the 5 years are up. The there's an elevator to be installed. That's probably going to be needed to satisfy accessibility requirements for the occupancy of the new building. The exact timetable of that, I don't know that the elevator has to be installed by then, but we have to be going forward on that. If the basement is to be used, it has to be finished. There's a significant cost to putting up walls and so forth, other than the concrete walls that'll be there. So if it's just used for storage, that's okay. If it's used for any more human use of it, there's a cost there. The original architect's report talked about redoing some of the floor plan, including making the new entrance come in under the columns as it was historically. So there are a number of costs that remain to be covered that have been roughly identified, but we haven't gone any further. So the capital plan still has a lot of money for Brooks Academy. It's a little down from what we had previously, and it's something this committee is going to have to keep an eye on within the next year or two.
I thought one of the plans for the basement was to include archival storage,
Yes,
which would be more than just putting up sheetrock walls.
yes, it would be.
So is that included in there anywhere?
There is, in addition to this year's stuff, in future years of the capital plan, if memory serves, there's $875,000. For the elevator, for finishing the basement, for probably a few other things that I'm not thinking of at the moment.
You want that?
I can't read it
No.
from here. Okay.
That's okay.
Okay.
Keep it there, though. I may need it in a minute.
Okay, well,
Um,
Just say.
So, those cost analyses need to be done. You know, we have to get through finishing this project, getting the 2 CPC projects done, and starting the planning for the rest of the use of the basement and the building, which I believe includes a significant involvement, Anita, from the Historic Society. So I think there have to be some good conversations on exactly what is needed, how much is the town's responsibility, and so forth. I was looking in the agenda for Monday night, the packet just came out, because it talks about details of the capital plan in there. And it appears that it's really much more a discussion about 204 Sisson and the items that are being funded in the first year of the capital plan. So there is no additional discussion, it appears, in terms of Brooks Academy stuff. The other thing, I made my first call to our liaison, Don Howell, in the years that I've been involved, because it did not seem that our letter from our motion a couple of weeks ago, it wasn't in either of the Board of Selectmen packets since then. So I asked Don if he had received the letter, and if not, if he could inquire. And I never did get a clear answer. Don did get back to us, but there was some sort of email glitch in the town system. So I still don't know if they ever seen it. We already have a result, so it sort of makes the letter moot. But, you know, it would have been nice to know that a commission
Right.
had a correspondence to the board and that it was received.
Yeah.
Apparently, the county kicked over all the email systems without including the selectmen in the new system. So I would say that probably none of them got it. And it turns out that in order to be on the new system, they have, I talked to Don also, that they have to give up anything else that's Microsoft-based. It's just very strange. And it was something that just happened without notice to anybody.
Huh.
So it was.
So that sort of assumes that the letter was sent out to people, which we're not sure of either.
Well, it was sent out, at least the one you sent was sent out. Whether it ever landed in anybody's,
Okay, if that's the
Box.
case, then I have no squawk.
yeah, it doesn't sound like at this, you know, that this was a deliberate ignoring of an email. I think the whole system was confused.
Makes you wonder what else was lost.
Right,
Oh, yeah.
right.
What else do we have on the capital plan? Is it clear as mud to everybody?
Well, like, the question is, when it comes to town meeting, the capital plan is what it is from last year, so there's been a lot of discussion about what kind of a vote it takes to move things around, take things out, or put things back in. By charter, it should be a 2/3 vote to change the first 4 years of the capital plan. But I guess there seems to be some kind of a workaround on that, remains to be seen.
Yeah, I can't speak to that.
No.
If
But
they
as
hadn't
far as putting our piece back on the back end of the plan, I think, you know, that's another discussion for another year.
I agree. If the articles that are on the warrant right now, if those all pass, and I expect they will, then we got a lot of money available to get the most immediate things done.
Looks good.
Right, at last. That's good.
Yeah, we're in better shape than we were two weeks ago. Preparation for town meeting. I've done mine. Any other suggestions?
Well, the question is, how much do we need to do? If you've got the support of the selectmen and the finance committee, the answers to the questions are what they are.
I know.
Um,
And this town has fully supported this building for
Yeah.
every vote that I know of.
Yeah, it would be good to have the Historical Society maybe ready to back us up and speak when the time comes and talk about what's happening and from where you folks are.
Yeah, well,
But-
yes, I think we're planning
Yeah,
to be there as well
Yeah.
to help to support this.
We're not located at 204 Sisson, so there's always the likelihood of spending so much time talking about something else that ours will breeze through.
But the problem is, this is the history of our town.
Mhm.
It should be pretty important to people because the history of this community resides in that building. And I feel this should be, you know, pretty important to the people of this town.
If there's any discussion on our 2 funding articles at town meeting, 2 people from the audience are going to get up and complain about the cost. 4 people are going to come up and say exactly what you just said, Anita.
Right.
And then the vote's going to pass.
That's correct.
That's my crystal ball, anyway.
Traditionally, if the Board of Selectmen and the Finance Committee agree, there's usually a positive vote from the floor. Usually. That's usually been a tradition. We'll see what happens this year at town meeting on different articles. But hopefully people will support this one. Because like I had said previously, this is the history of our town that's housed in that building.
Sounds good, David.
Do we have anything to make this meeting a little more interesting for Bill? I don't think we do. Marie, you got anything for us?
For me,
I'm sorry, didn't get that.
I think she said,
nothing to add from my end of things.
just wait and see what happens next and hope things continue on smoothly.
The, we know the museum is not opening this summer. It's gonna take some work to get the museum open next summer. And this commission, for whoever remains involved, you know, is gonna have to keep an eye on that. Sean Libby is a good contact. Any procurement, because there's, you know, we're gonna have to hire design of the 2 CPC projects and construction. So procurement will probably be, the connection will be Megan in the town administrator's office. So between Sean and Megan, I think that's gonna be the best way that this commission keeps track of things over the next year.
And whatever ancillary decisions might have to be made along the way. Yeah. Well, sounds like we're in good shape. It's a good thing, finally.
I still will breathe easier once we get through town meeting.
Well, 100%. Yeah. You never know quite what the mood of the voters is going to be. True.
Commend David on all the hard work that you've done working.
No, you
with
did
me.
that last time.
Oh, we'll do it again.
No,
Yes.
no more compliments.
We'll do it again. And to the whole committee too. Commission, the whole commission. I mean, you're all working together for the betterment of this community. You need to be recognized for that.
We need, the only way we've been able to make our meetings more controversial, interesting, has been to get somebody like Paul Doan involved last summer. So without that, we've been pretty easy to get along with each other and with the society. Okay, going once, going twice?
I think we're
So, I mean, aye.
got a motion to adjourn?
Yeah.
So
Second.
moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned.
You still didn't beat our record for short meetings.
It isn't?
Pretty close.